Did you grow up in a dysfunctional family? And if you did you know it at the time? Navigating adulthood is hard enough, but unresolved trauma from childhood can make it even harder. It influences your relationships, your self-esteem, and can sabotage family dynamics, all without you fully realizing it. Here are 11 signs you grew up in a dysfunctional family, even if it didn't seem obvious at the time. Number 1, your parents used the silent treatment. If your parents shut down communication and use silence to deal with conflict, you might find yourself uncomfortable with being alone and in silence yourself. This communication style creates anxiety, leaving children to ruminate on unresolved issues, and in adulthood, this often leads to people-pleasing behaviors or fear of upsetting others, as you're constantly trying to avoid getting the cold shoulder. Number 2, there was substance dependence. If substance abuse was present in your household, you likely experienced unmet needs and emotional neglect, which may have left you feeling unimportant or unsupported as a child. As an adult, these patterns can manifest as relationship struggles, low self-esteem, and of course, repeating the unhealthy coping mechanisms you witnessed as a kid. Breaking those cycles isn't easy, but it's critical for your well-being. Number 3, you were pressured to be perfect. Growing up with parents who set impossibly high expectations can create a fear of failure, and you may now tie your self-worth to your achievements, feeling you're only enough when you're successful. This perfectionism often stems from a childhood where mistakes were seen as unacceptable, leading to a very critical inner voice in adulthood. Number 4, your parents didn't respect your privacy. If your parents didn't knock before entering your bedroom, it may seem like a minor thing, but it's actually a lack of respect for your boundaries, and this can continue rearing its head in adulthood, especially nowadays when it's not uncommon for young adult children to still live at home. Healthy boundaries teach children that their feelings and personal space are important, and without them you may struggle as an adult to assert your needs or set limits in relationships. Number 5, physical affection was avoided in your home. If hugs, I love yous, or other signs of affection were rare, it could leave a lasting mark on how you connect with others. Research shows that children who grow up in affection-deprived homes often experience low self-esteem, anxiety, and tendencies toward anger. They may also struggle with emotional intimacy and expressing their feelings as adults, as they were taught that hands-off was normal behavior in a relationship. Number 6, you couldn't rely on your family. Parents who were emotionally absent or unreliable might have forced you to grow up too quickly, which often leads to being praised for your independence or told you were mature for your age. But you behaved that way because you had to cope with meeting your own needs and showing up for yourself because your parents wouldn't or couldn't. As an adult, this can make it difficult to ask for help or lean on loved ones in times of need because you've never learned to trust others. Number 7, financial instability was constant. Now, financial insecurity itself isn't necessarily a sign of a dysfunctional family, but if parents couldn't pay bills because that money went towards bad habits instead of necessities and responsibilities, that can have a lasting impact and can even amount to a form of neglect. Children who grow up that way often become adults who repeat the cycle of financial instability because they don't usually learn financial literacy skills, which can make adulthood feel like a constant battle with money and responsibility. A parent hyperfixated on appearance or weight. Parents who obsess over their own appearance, weight, or performance because they have their own emotional struggles often take it out on their kids and pass these insecurities onto them. Comments about your body might have felt normal at the time, but they can create lasting issues with self-esteem, and you may find yourself battling the same critical voice in your head as an adult. Set appropriate boundaries around self-care and negative self-talk especially, so you can find a healthy balance for protecting your own peace. Number 9, you didn't invite friends over as a kid. If you were embarrassed to bring friends home, it's likely tied to feelings of shame about your family dynamic. You may have been embarrassed by your parents themselves and the way they treated you or each other, or you may have been taking on their emotional burdens, their anxieties about how your house wasn't good enough or their physical appearance wasn't acceptable, for example. The discomfort you felt over all that as a child can carry over and make it hard to be vulnerable in relationships today. Number 10, emotions were not openly expressed. Parents who avoided emotions, refused to discuss them, or dismissed yours outright taught you to do the same, and crucially, to not trust yourself. As an adult, you may not know how to express yourself appropriately, and how could you when your parents were so conflict avoidant they never modeled how? This emotional detachment can leave you struggling to navigate feelings and relationships in adulthood, but reflecting on your parents' communication styles can be insightful as you try to unlearn these behaviors. And finally, number 11, your relationship with your parents was transactional. In transactional relationships, love or support is conditional, offered only when you meet certain expectations, like, for example, if you get good grades, I'll reward you, or even worse, if you adhere to this religious tradition, I'll accept you. This mindset can lead to a sense that love and acceptance must be earned rather than freely given, and that can leave lasting emotional scars. The parent-child relationship is a relationship, not a business transaction, and it thrives on communication and emotional bonding moments of unconditional love and loyalty. If any of this resonates, know that while your childhood may have shaped you, it doesn't have to define your future. With awareness and self-compassion, you can rewrite your story.